Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geary, Stein, and Steven Show, an amazing video podcast with sports stars, entertainment celebrities, and other great guests, combining one host who has no legs, one host who lives in Duluth, Minnesota, and another host who seems to never be on the show. But now, on to the show with Troy, Dave, and maybe even Will.
That's right, America. We are back. Hello, hello, hello. I am Dave Stevens, of course. I am here at the home offices with our sign that we have taken back from the Super Bowl with the much fun that we had out in Las Vegas. And let me, of course, bring in my one of my hosts there, Troy Geary. Troy is somewhere. You're in Duluth tonight, right?
Yeah, I'm back in Minnesota. I just got back from the Big Ten Women's Championship. That was fun down in Minneapolis. And the men's we're coming up this week too. But I'm excited for the show. Talk a little baseball.
Oh, you want to talk baseball? Let me go ahead and bring in our guest. If you can see up in the upper hand corner, and let me bring up what he used to look like in the younger days. Of course, that is one of the most memorable things in the history of baseball. I mean, most people were known for hitting, and obviously you were a legendary pitcher, but that mustache and Rollie Fingers joining us from Las Vegas. Rollie, thanks for joining us first. But you got to tell us the story. I've read it. I want to know what's true, what's not true. Was it really $300 that this legend started with back in the day?
Yeah, that's how it all started. Reggie Jackson came to spring training with a mustache in the spring of '72. Him and Charlie Finley were arguing about their contract, I guess. So he started growing a mustache and a beard, and he wouldn't shave it off. Everybody on the ball club got on him about shaving it off, but he wouldn't do it. So myself and Catfish Hunter, Darrell Knowles, there were about 3 or 4 of us pitchers decided, hey, let's grow mustaches. And if we grow mustaches, then Dick Williams, our manager, will say, hey, look, cut them off, and then Reggie would have to cut his off. Well, it didn't work out that way. So after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, nobody said anything, and then Charlie Finley got wind of what was going on, and he sent a memo down to the clubhouse that said anybody who makes the ball club on opening day, the 25-man roster, and you have a mustache, you get $300. So that's the only reason why we grew mustache, was to get $300 out of Charlie. And I mean, these guys on our ball, they'd have grown mustache on their hind end for $300, and so we all did. And Charlie Finley came down in the clubhouse opening day. Everybody got $300, and we started winning. I think the first 12 games that season we were like 10-2 or something, and we just kept them. And we won the World Series that year. And then you win the World Series in '72 and '73 and '74. You got to keep them. So I've had it ever since.
You had it, but when you started out, let's take a look at that young boy, that fresh face. Holy cow, when he first signed. And again, you came up and initially were a starter. And then, of course, you got moved to the bullpen where much of your success started. But, hey, I can't short you out there for what you did of your complete games. I think you had 4 complete games. 2 of those are shutouts. So talk about what was that transition like for you back in the day to go from a starter into the bullpen, which really didn't exist?
Yeah, you didn't really want to be in the bullpen back then. That was a home for old starting pitchers, and I was a young kid. But Dick Williams, he gave me a shot at the rotation, and I would have a couple, 2 or 3 games, and then I'd keep getting knocked out in the second, third inning, and so he got tired of seeing it, and so he threw me in the bullpen, and I was basically a long man. I was just used in games where maybe we were getting beat by a lot. And we ran out of pitchers one day in New York. We were playing the Yankees, and we were getting beat like 11-2 or something. And all of a sudden, we're winning 13-11, and I'm the only guy left in the bullpen. So I come in and I pitched the 8th and the 9th and got a save. We went to Boston the next day, and I came in the same situation and pitched 2 innings, got a save. And he called me in his office and said, from now on, from the 6th inning on, I'm going to go to you. I said, okay. Because I was on my way to the minor leagues. I wasn't getting anybody out. And he gave me the opportunity to become a closer. And from about mid-season in '71 till the end of my career, I was more or less the closer with the A's. and a couple other ball clubs.
I don't want to make you feel old, but this year marks 50 years of that 74 World Series championship where you were the MVP. Can you talk about that season? I mean, I know, of course, you guys, that was the third in a row, but on how many of those guys do you still actually hang out with or talk to? And is there a reunion planned at all?
I think it's sometime this June. They're going to bring us all the guys that are still around. We have about, I think there's 8 or 9 guys, something like that are going to come back. No Blue Moon Odom's going to be there, and Gene Tennis, Joe Rudy, Daryl Knowles. I think Dave Hamilton's still around, and Campy Campaneris. So yeah, we'll have about 8 or 9 guys there. It should be fun.
Rollie, tell us about, and Troy touched on it, how you kind of revolutionized what a reliever was. And again, you were the kind of a reliever, you and Goose and those guys, Eck, that would get 3 innings, sometimes 4 innings out of you guys in the bullpen, which now, we got guys that are set up in one pitch, and thank God that they've changed those rules. But how did you revolutionize what it was like to be a relief pitcher?
Well, but back then with the Oakland A's in most ball clubs, I mean, with our pitching staff, we had starting pitchers that were completing 45 to 50 ball games a year. So the starters wanted to get paid. They get paid for those complete games, and so every time I came into a game, I was more or less coming into trouble. There was always guys on base, and that doesn't happen nowadays. So I just had the type of arm that I could go out and throw just about every other day or every day. And I had good enough control when I was throwing a lot to pitch for 3, 4, 5 innings. And so that's how Dick Williams used me. I was pitching 125, 130 innings a year out of the bullpen. And so, but there were other guys doing it about that same. Clay Carroll was out doing that. Dave Justy with Pittsburgh. Then Sparky Lyle came along, and Dan Quisenberry and Goose. And after a while, after about the mid 70s, I think every organization realized they needed somebody in the bullpen to close down games at the end of the game. So, that's when everybody had to have one.
Fun fact before we move on, you have the record 135 games of multiple inning saves. So that's awesome. What are your thoughts on the A's moving to Las Vegas? And what are your thoughts on the new renderings of the stadium? It looks pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I was at the minor league ballpark a couple days ago, and they unveiled the renderings of the new ballpark. It's futuristic. I mean, it looks pretty cool the way they're going to do it. It's not a big stadium. It's only going to seat 33 to 35,000 people. But it's not like the Oakland A's ballpark right now. This ballpark, you're going to be closer to the fans. I think that was the main thing about Oakland Stadium, is you could have a box seat on the third baseline and be 50 yards from the foul line. It wasn't really set up to be a good ballpark for fan watching. So this one, I think, is going to be something really cool from what I've seen. It's going to be nice.
And this is great to have you with us too. I know Troy and I got to talk to you a little bit at the Super Bowl a few weeks ago, because you live and made your home in Las Vegas. And but it's not the first time our paths have crossed, Rollie. If you kind of can think back to, I believe it was 2015 in New Britain Stadium, and I know you were doing a lot of touring with the MLB alumni. We played at the New Britain Stadium. And right. We were teammates, so it was really kind of cool. You donned your A's uniform, and I got to be with you and Ferguson Jenkins, and I think Darrell Evans is sitting there right behind us. Right. So, you still give so much back for that alumni association. Why do you do such good things still at your advancing age?
Well, I think I think a lot of guys, when they get out of the game, I got out of the game. I was 38 years old. I was basically still a young guy, so I felt like I could give back a little bit to different charities. And that charity was called Kindervision. We still do some golf tournaments with it. But it was fun to do that. We were protecting kids from predators and working with the police departments in their services as trying to find pedophiles. So I still do it. We have one tournament every year in Huntington Beach that we're doing. So I still do stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. I get to get out and do stuff with kids. I don't mind doing it at all. Kids love seeing old timers.
Well, before we go to break, I did want to touch on one thing you had talked about. You got out of the game at a relatively early age, but I think you still had an opportunity to pitch with Cincinnati, and it was your mustache that cost you another year or two, right?
Yeah, Pete Rose called me up in the winter after I got released by the Milwaukee Brewers, and he called me up right around Christmas time, and I answered the phone. And he said, "This is Pete." I said, "Pete who?" He said, "It's Pete Rose. We just had a meeting with our staff, and he says we'd like to have you come to spring training." So we had a nice talk, and then he said the GM would call me up the next day. So GM called me up. I think it was Burgess was his name, and he said, "Yeah, we like to have you come to spring training. We've talked to our staff, and we think it's a great idea. I think you can help out the team." He said, "There's just one thing," and I said, "What's that?" He said, "You have to cut off your mustache." And I said, "What?" Well, I said, "I've had this thing for like 15 to 18 years." I said, "Why do I need to cut off my? I mean, what does that got to do with my ability to throw a baseball?" He says, "Well, that's Marge Schatz." She said she's a stickler for facial hair. And if you got to cut your mustache off, or we can't have you spring training. I said, "Well, let me give you a call back tomorrow." So I talked to my wife, and she said, "It's whatever you want to do." So I thought about it, and I called Burgess back up, and I said, "Look, you tell Marge Schatz to shave her St. Bernard, and I'll shave my mustache." I never heard back from Marge after that. So that's when I retired.
Oh, that's a great story. Well, stick with us. We're just talking to one of the legends, the all-time greats, Rollie Fingers. We're going to pay a couple of bills, come back, talk about the World Series and all the things that Rollie has done. He's got so many awards. He's got more than I got behind me. So don't go away. You're watching Geary, Stein, and Stevens live.
Hi, everybody. Dave Stevens here for the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show from Tropicana Field, home of the Tampa Rays. And you know what? Not everybody can be a Major League Baseball player, but you can look like $1 million. What's the best way to do that? Well, go to freshcleanthreads.com. Don't believe me? That's right, you can look professional, feel good, and not spend a lot of money by wearing Fresh Clean Threads. They have amazing shirts. They've got Henleys and polos, long sleeves, and even bomber jackets. And if you like them, you can save some money by typing in the show code GSS Show from the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show to save 20% off. So if you can't be a major leaguer and you want to dress like one, well, go to freshcleanthreads.com. That's freshcleanthreads.com. Tell them Dave sent you. Use that code GSS Show.
They can strike anytime or anywhere. You can have one while giving a speech at your best friend's wedding or in the middle of your uncle's funeral. It's called a wingasm, and it occurs when you bet and win with MyBookie. And this football season, enjoy more wingasms than ever with new features like early cash out. So you can pull out and enjoy an early wingasm, then bet those funds immediately. Tired of waiting all day for your money? We've increased the speed of bet settlement. And with enhanced game lines and live betting and streaming, you can bet right up until kickoff, then place more bets during the game. Oh, and what would a new season be without our $100,000 Survivor contest? And a super contest with a cash pot of $250,000. Have more wingasms, more often with MyBookie.
Hi, everybody. Dave Stevens from the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show. And, you know, Troy and I are on the road all the time covering games, doing things, my motivational speaking. But I have connected with LifeWave, which has really changed my life. And it's an amazing patch that not only helps me to live my life, it keeps me very active. Tammy Wellman is joining me. And now, Tammy, you put these patches on me. It is a stem cell regeneration plan. But tell us a little bit more how it works.
Yeah, so these patches are amazing. They're wearable wellness. They're non-transdermal patches. Nothing goes in your body. Your body gives off light. They capture it and they activate your body's own repair system. Your body goes to work to heal things that are in need of healing. Pain reduction, things like that.
It gave me an opportunity to play in the Celebrity Softball Classic. This video of my base hit, I wouldn't have done it without these patches. So please, if you want to know more about this product, go to patchit.life. LifeWave, it's changing my life.
That's right. Those patches are great. Welcome back to the second part of the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show. Joining us is a legend, Rollie Fingers. But Rollie, I want to bring out something that that you might remember from back in the day. Everybody talked about all the things that you did in the World Series, but I found a little hidden gem that you might remember. I think it was from the '73 World Series. Let's take a listen.
George Stone, the second appearance of the series. There's a blooper in the right, and it's a base hit.
How about that? Base hit. How about your base hit in the World Series, huh?
Only hit I got in the World Series, yeah. Yeah, hit right on the end of the bat, just enough to get it over the second baseman's head and in front of Rusty Staub in right field.
And you guys, of course, went on to win that World Series. I mean, did that get old every time, 3 years in a row? What was that like?
Well, we got kind of used to it. I mean, the hardest one was the first one, beating Cincinnati, because we weren't supposed to win that series. We were supposed to get beaten 4, and we had lost Reggie, and but our pitching came through in that series with Catfish Hunter and Kenny Holtzman, Vita Blue, and we kind of held the Reds in check. But after we won in '72, and then we won in '73, it just got to to the point where we know we're going to win in '74. We won in '74. Well, we're going to win again in '75. It just got to be used to it. So I think the first one was the hardest, and then we went into '75 and we got swept in the playoffs by the Red Sox. So then they went on to play Cincinnati in that great World Series back in '75. But yeah, it was fun. We had a great team, and Charlie Finley. That was one thing Charlie Finley did is he put together a great ball club, and we all came up through the minor leagues together. This was before free agency, so. I came up with me and Reggie played in Class A ball, Class AA back in the '66 and '67 and '68, and that's when Vita Blue signed in '71. Came up to the big leagues. Gene Tennis, Catfish Hunter, Joe Rudy, all these guys. We all came up through the minor leagues together, and we all hit the big leagues right around the same time, right around 1969, and. For about 7 years after that, we played together, and we knew what to expect of each other, and we didn't make any mental errors out there. We were a good, solid ball club.
A lot of people forget that you were a member of the Red Sox for 3 days. Can you take us back to that trade, and what was your thoughts about the MLB commissioner stepping in and voiding that?
Well, I was upset because I was happy to get away from Charlie Finley, and the Red Sox. The Red Sox had come in that day for a 3-game series, and I walked in the clubhouse, and the equipment manager said, "Hey, you've just been sold to the Red Sox. You got to get over to their clubhouse." So I just packed up all my gear and went over to the clubhouse, the Red Sox clubhouse, and I was lockering next to Rico Petrocelli, and he just hit a home run off me about a week before in Boston. So. But I got along with everybody. I met all the ball players, and Joe Rudy and I both went to the Red Sox, and we were there for 3 days. I warmed up a couple of times, but I didn't get into a game. If I had gotten into a game, I think Louis Kuhn wouldn't have been able to nix that deal. But after the 3 days, the Red Sox were there. Louis Kuhn told Charlie he couldn't do it, and I had to go back to the A's. And Charlie thought he was right, and Louis Kuhn thought he was right, and so Charlie set all 3 of us, me, Rudy, and Vita Blue down. We weren't in uniform for 2 weeks while they were going through all these hassles, and we were only playing with 22 guys. And finally, it got to the point where the whole team, we had a team meeting in the clubhouse, and we were playing on a Sunday, playing Kansas City, and we all voted. The whole team voted if we weren't reinstated, all 3 of us, we weren't going to play that Sunday. We're going to have to forfeit the game to the Minnesota Twins, and Charlie would lose the whole gate. And so Chuck Tanner's going back and forth with Charlie Finley on the phone, and Charlie's saying, these guys can't do that. And Chuck Tanner said, "Hey, the guys are in the clubhouse right now in their street clothes. They're ready to go out and get in their cars." So Chuck Tanner came out of his office and read out the lineup, and he said, leading off, Bert Campaneris, hitting second, Billy North, hitting third, Joe Rudy. As soon as we heard Joe Rudy's name, bang, we got our uniforms on and we played that day. That's how we got back on the rosters. So it was crazy.
I just happened to catch an old episode of Carson the other day with Charlie Finley on, and he was proud of the fact of what a penny pincher and a miser he was, and yet he still had that P.T. Barnum, but it was on a penny budget. I mean, what was that like to play for him?
Oh, it was rough because he was the general manager and the owner. So you had to deal with him when it came contract time. And this was before free agency. I mean, whatever he offered you almost had to take. I mean, we won the World Series in 72, 3, and 4. And our team's salary for the whole team in 75 was 1.2 million after 3 straight world championships. I mean, he was he was the only owner in the history of the game not to put a diamond in a World Series ring. Our 73 and 74 World Series rings, he said, if you want diamonds, you put them in yourself.
What were they, mood rings then, or what did he give you?
Oh, they were just pieces of glass. They were just junk, or about $150 each. Everybody was upset. In fact, we opened up, after we got our rings in 73, we opened up with the Angels in Oakland, and Charlie never came down to the field because he knew everybody hated him. And so me and Kenny Holtzman, my roommate, were out in right field shagging balls on opening day. And this is after we got our rings. And I look over in the third base dugout, and there's Charlie. He's doing a TV interview in the dugout, third base dugout at Oakland Stadium. And I said, Holtzy, see you over there? There's Charlie. I said, put a couple balls in your pocket. So we got a couple balls in our pocket. On the count of 3, we wound up and threw 2 balls from right field right into the dugout, trying to hit his hind end. And after we threw them, we both lay down on the grass and started doing setups. He didn't know where the balls came from. There were balls rattling around in that dugout. So he never found out. Nobody squealed on us.
Oh, that fine would have been more than your mustache worth, right?
Oh yeah.
Speaking of, you had some great teammates over the years. I just want to go through a couple of guys. And the first guy I want to ask you about is Reggie Jackson. Of course, winning 3 straight. He was your slugger. Just kind of talk about him as a teammate. I mean, we know what kind of great baseball player he was, but just as a teammate.
He was great. Reggie and I, when I was playing in Modesto, we were about mid-season, and we heard we're getting this football player from ASU. I said, what the heck are we going to do with a football player? And so he got to the ball club in, I think it was 1966, about mid-season. And first day there, we go out and watch batting practice. And I mean, he is hitting balls as far as anybody I've ever seen. And he'd make throws from the outfield. On a P to any base, right on line. I mean, he was a great athlete. He had little problems catching the volleyball, though. So we had to work on his outfield skills catching balls. But he ended up turning into a pretty good outfielder. But Reggie and I have got along. I've known him since 1966. We get along great. He's a great friend of mine. He has golf tournaments. He invites me all the time. So, and we'll see each other up in Oakland here this year with the reunion. He'll be there for that, I'm sure. So, but he was a great teammate. I enjoyed being around Reggie.
Yeah, he was I wore 44 in my life because of Reggie, because everybody always figured I didn't have legs. People were staring at me. Reggie came through under pressure with people staring at him and all the things, the bad things and the good things. But just such a great run. I mean, people forget about what the A's did in the early 70s. I mean, because you guys were the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Patriots. I mean, you guys were legends. I mean, do you still pinch yourself when you think about that era that you were a part of? And because your owner let you guys go, you could have had a few more years.
Oh, yeah. If, Charlie could have signed us all back in 1976, 77, when free agency hit, but he didn't want to spend the money. And we could have, we were all pretty young. I think we were still in our late 20s. I mean, we were still playing good. We had a really good nucleus of players that were still in their prime. But he didn't want to sign us. He didn't want to pay the money. So we all became free agents. And I think like 7 or 8 of us all went to different teams. The Campaneris went to the Angels. Me and Gene Tennis went to the Padres. Reggie went to Baltimore. I think Joe Rudy went to Boston. Everybody went to different directions, and consequently, that's when the A's fell apart. And we wish we could have stayed. We wish we could have all stayed together, but it wasn't going to happen.
Well, we'll continue our talk and talk a little bit about what happened after your baseball career, because that's pretty impressive as well. You're watching Geary, Stein, and Steven. Stick with us. Don't go away.
All right, here we are at this amazing Ditka and Jaws Cigars with the stars and our friends at La Fralanza have given us these amazing cigars. We had a box and they're gone. Everybody here has been coming up and they say this is one of the best cigars. It's not even supposed to be here, and now they're going crazy.
Rod Jaworski, Brian Urlacher, Warren Sapp. Everybody loves these cigars. So if you go to LaFralanzaCigars.com, use the code GS20, you get 20% off of one of their boxes. I mean, these things, like I said, we put them down and they were gone in seconds. Everybody loves them. I mean, this is a great event, too.
I know, but holy cow, and I haven't smoked one yet. I haven't even gotten to taste it. They're just out of the Dominican Republic. They've just released them, and again, it's a labor of love for these guys that put this together. So I'm excited to have them be a part of the Super Bowl, and in fact, they were the biggest hit here, and I wish we had more boxes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, they just started producing these things, and they cannot keep them produced fast enough around the shelf. They're just keep going out. But they're ramping up production, so they're going to be everywhere soon. So get yours today. Go to their website, LaFralanzaCigars.com. Use the code GSS20 for 20% off a great box of 10 cigars.
All right, let's go find Jaws and light this baby up.
I'm excited to light it.
Man, it's about time I found a shirt that fits my frame.
I love the fit. It's definitely a little looser here than my other shirts. Kind of makes me feel a little more buff, you know?
You seeing this? I'm 6'5". I can't do this with other shirts.
I feel like I'm getting a designer shirt for a fraction of the price. It fits the way you want, everywhere you want. And I look pretty dang good too, don't I?
Right, they always look good in those fresh, clean threads. And we look good because we are Geary, Stein, and Stevens, and we thank our guests and our supporters and everybody that follows us on the internet. But it is awesome when we have such an amazing guest. And as I discussed earlier, he got that call to the Hall of Fame. Rollie did in 1992. Let's check out a portion of his acceptance speech.
Mr. Commissioner, Hall of Famers, invited guests, baseball fans. If it seems I'm a little nervous right now, I am. It's simply because I'm not used to starting things, if you know what I mean.
Such a great speech, Rollie. Do you remember that? I mean, do you get up to the hall much in Cooperstown?
Oh, I've been back every year since I got in. I think that was the hardest speech I ever had to get through. I think every Hall of Famer says the same thing. That's a tough speech to get through. It can get pretty emotional up there, and so. But it was, I look back.
Mr. Commissioner, Hall of Famers,
got dark hair, so. But it was a lot of fun going into the dinner, the Hall of Fame dinner with the guys that I grew up idolizing and pitching to. Some of these guys, Yogi Berra and Whitey Ford and Sandy Koufax, and I mean all these guys are. I didn't say hardly anything to these guys the first year I went in. I was the rookie, so but over the years I'm kind of the old guy now, so. It's still fun. I go back every year.
I want to ask you about a reliever that just came up short, and Billy Wagner. What do you like about his career, and do you think he'll get in hopefully next year?
I've seen his career. I've looked at his numbers, and I thought he was going to get in this year for sure. I mean, we don't. There's no left-handers in the hall right now, and there's a couple guys out there. John Franco. He's got pretty good numbers, but I think Billy Wagner certainly does. I mean, he has an unbelievable earned run average, over 400 saves, hard thrower, good stuff. I mean, he did the job for the Astros for quite a while, and I think his numbers certainly are good enough for him to get in. And I thought for sure he was going to get in this year.
Rollie, obviously a great time with the A's for most of the part of those successes other than your owner. But then, what about the other teams that you went to as far as like what that was like in Milwaukee? And again, you're a legend there. Your number was retired there. There's very few players that have had their numbers retired for both clubs. And then, of course, your stint with the Padres. I mean, what are your memories of Milwaukee and San Diego?
Well, San Diego, a little disappointed in the ball club we had there. I think the highest we finished was, third place one year. And we were always, September the 1st, all we were doing was being the spoiler role. So I was happy to get traded from San Diego. I still had one more year on my contract there, but they traded me to St. Louis, and Whitey Herzog traded for me. I went to St. Louis, met Whitey during the winter meetings, and then came back home. And the next day I picked up the newspaper, and I'd been traded to Milwaukee. So that's how I found out. And it was in the newspaper. Nobody called me. But I was happy to go to Milwaukee. I knew they had a powerhouse lineup. I mean, there was no holes in that lineup with Robin Yount and Paul Molitor, Cooper, Ogilvy, Ted Simmons along with us, Gorman Thomas, Jim Gentner. I mean, there was no holes in that lineup. I would have hated to have to face those guys. And, I mean, consequently, we just wore the American League out there for 2 years. And I enjoyed pitching there. I could afford to make a mistake, and these guys could score 3 runs for you in a heartbeat. So I had a lot of fun pitching in Milwaukee. We had some great teams there.
And you've played with a lot of Hall of Famers. I mean, you're just dropping names left and right of Yount and all these guys. But the game has changed so much today. Do you think your style would have fit in, or would you have had to adapt to a 1-inning type of reliever?
I don't know if I could have done what they're doing today. I needed a lot of work to stay sharp. I didn't mind going out and pitching 2, 3, 4 innings. It didn't bother me at all, and that's how I stayed sharp. There were a couple of times that maybe I didn't get in a ball game for a couple of weeks, and I'd almost have to beg the manager just to put me in there to get some work in. And and I wasn't that sharp when I laid off that long. In today's game, I don't know if I could have handled pitching just 1 inning. That's just not me. I needed a lot of work to stay sharp, and I don't know if I could have handled it the way they do it now.
And you had 2 career home runs. So do you remember those? I mean, do you ever sit around and remember, tell us about those 2 home runs? I couldn't find the film. There was no film.
Yeah, I hit one off of Bosman in Texas. That was the first one I hit. Went into the bleachers, and there was nobody there to watch it, and bounced back on the field, and they threw it in. So I got that one in my case over here, my first one. And then the second was in Milwaukee. In fact, I was with the A's, and I hit a home run and I think I threw a 4 or 5 hit shutout that game. And so I pitched a shutout and hit a home run. I can't remember the guy it was, but when I did hit it, I knew both of them were gone. So they were in the second or third row.
And you were part of a memorable no-hitter. I mean, you've had a lot of things, but if we were sitting around smoking a cigar at Jaws and Ditka's party with Troy, what would be like that top baseball memory of your lifetime?
Oh, geez, probably. I don't know. When you're a kid, you dream about pitching in a World Series and being on the mound for the last out. And in 1972, I was in that situation. I had a guy at the plate and 2 outs in the 9th inning, and I think it was Darrell Cheney. I hit him in the foot, and he went down to first base. The score was 3-2, and here I am looking up, and there's Pete Rose standing at the plate. Of all the guys I got to face for the last out of a World Series. And, it's something you dream about as a kid, and it's there. And then in 5 seconds, it's over with. But what a 5 seconds. It doesn't get any better.
And what an amazing career you've had. And it's so great that we've got to get to know you and, again, get to see you in Cooperstown. Did you like your plaque? Did you think it looked like you?
Yeah, it looks a little bit like me. So a lot of guys came over to me and said, "Hey, this plaque belongs on the other side of the wall over there with all these guys from the 1880s that had mustaches." I was the only guy on that side of the wall with a mustache. So you don't see that. You don't see too many mustaches on players there.
It looks good. And again, how do you stay in shape? You still look so good. I mean, is it a lot of golf?
I played a little bit. I had a couple back surgeries about 6 months ago. I had a back surgery. I had a stent put in my heart about 3 months ago. I had a blocked artery. And so I didn't play golf for about a year, but now I just started playing about 2 months ago. And I still get out. I'm playing right around my playing weight. I'm right around 210, 209. And I stay in shape. I go out and play golf maybe a couple times a week. So
we golfed at Angel Park Super Bowl week, so that was fun.
Yes, that's fun. That was fun. Good time.
And Rollie, speaking of stint in the heart, my buddy and teammate Darryl Strawberry is recovering. He had a mild heart attack Monday, turned 62 on Tuesday, and We go way back from our time together at the St. Paul Saints, and we've been friends. And I don't think you got to face him much in your career, maybe in spring training or something. But our thoughts and prayers go out to Daryl as he's recovering. It's a shame when we see guys like that were physical health specimens. You want to stick around as long as you can.
Yeah, well, I hope he gets better. But yeah, my doctor told me that I had a blocked artery, and he said, "Well, we're going to do the operation tomorrow." I went home that night and I caught COVID, so I had to wait. I had to wait 10 days. I didn't go anywhere. I just stayed in my bed at my house for 10 days, and then I had the stent put in, and he said I was fine. So I haven't had any problems since then. So I'm doing okay.
It's great to hear.
All right. That's great to hear. Thank you, Rollie, and hopefully we'll see you at lots of Las Vegas A's game if they get to come there. I know there's some still silly battles going on, but it looks like they're going to be there, right?
Yeah, I think they're closing down the Tropicana here in about another 2 weeks, and I think they're going to start preparing it for a blow up, I guess. But as far as I know, the A's are going to be here probably for I think the 27 season, somewhere in there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you throw a first pitch out there and do some stuff with that team. So, Rollie, thanks so much for being a part of our show tonight. Troy, doesn't get much better than that, huh?
No, I mean, Rollie, I really appreciate taking time out of your busy day to join us. It's a pleasure meeting you in Vegas, and I'm sure we'll see you around out and watching some A's games.
And we're sorry.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed you got the Boston hat on,
Yeah.
man. Boston and Royals, you're killing me, guys.
Man, hey, you started in Kansas City, so I can say that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But
I don't like them either. I was just trying to rub it in of how stupid they were for not having you. But thanks again, Rollie, and we'll see you down the line. Again, don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms, Your Home TV. You can find us on Roku, the Disability Channel, everywhere where podcasts are shown. I'm Dave Stevens for Troy Geary, and I guess you can see Will over my shoulder somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You've been watching Geary, Stein, and Stevens.
Thanks. Had a great time, guys.
Have a nice night, guys. Love you. Thanks, Rollie.
All right, bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show. Follow us on social media. Watch us on yourhometv.com, or now we're on Roku. Download it and watch us. And thanks for tuning in. Until next time, America.